doesn't have a top gear, they're now saying, Bobby.
And that gear. That's two things that's really going to hurt him an awful lot, especially on the starting. Not only can't get going early, he won't have as much top end.
And that's the gear he uses at each of the chicanes. Here it comes.
They go screaming past the pace car. Green flag is out. Paul Tracy needs to make his move right now, but he also needs to be careful. Michael Andretti holds him back.
Michael timed that beautifully. He made the most out of his crippled car, and Paul Tracy was sensible. He was not bullheaded.
Now remember, Michael is normally the fastest of the two cars. He qualified faster, he's run faster in most of the practice deal, but he's lacking 2 gears again.
All right, let's ride with Paul Tracy as he chases down the leader.
Due to the second gear that Tracy had coming off that turn. They're headed into a tight turn.
And Paul Tracy moves down to the inside of Michael Andretti, just as Sam Posey suggested, the gear making a world of difference there. And Paul Tracy picks up the lead of the race.
You notice right at the end of the straightaway is when Tracy got a little jump. That was when 6th gear comes into play. Michael had no more. He was probably on his rev limit.
And Bobby Rahal now closing on the back end of Michael Andretti.
Michael is a wounded animal right now.
There's nothing Michael can do to regain it.
Listen now. Listen to Michael's gearbox. And Paul Tracy pulls steadily away. Michael Andretti now needs to worry about a charging Bobby Rahal, Scott Pruitt, and Mauricio Gugelmin. You can see the 3 of them lined up with about 100 yards separating each. As they come down the pit straight once again, Rahal is right there at the back end of Michael Andretti's car.
Rahal was 3rd 2 weeks ago in Miami. He's lying 3rd right now, and actually probably ahead in championship situation, even with 3rd. And of course, he's got every chance with just 6 laps to go to overtake Michael Andretti for 2nd. Rahal has fought his way back up from a very poor qualifying run. It was a result of motor problems yesterday, and had another one of his great come-from-behind drives. He had 2 or 3 of those last year.
Tracy, Michael Andretti, Bobby Rahal, Scott Pruitt, Mauricio Gugelmin, the top 5. Then Danny Sullivan, Unser Jr., Raul Boesel, Eddie Cheever, and Robbie Gordon round off the top 10. Here's the pass. You're looking over from Michael's car.
Unbelievably tense moment because 2 teammates, if Tracy had misjudged that and taken out both cars, that would have been, talk about the doghouse, that would have, they might have thrown the key away. But instead it was clean, terrific.
So Bobby Rahal runs in 3rd place behind Michael Andretti. Paul Tracy is now the leader of the race. We'll be back for the finish at Surfers Paradise, Australia. The finish now at Surfers Paradise, Australia. You're on board with Bobby Rahal. That's Michael Andretti. The 2nd place car just ahead, now just behind as you look back to Bobby Rahal, the leader of the race. Remember, Sam Posey at starting said, we have a camera on Paul Tracy's car, and you'll see him move for the lead. You saw that. You saw him, as you see him now, not only move for the lead, but take over the lead. Now he has a full 3 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti. Let's go to Gary.
Checking with the Andretti pit crew, Paul, we told them about what you were hearing in the booth, and they said their feeling is it's been bad for so long, if the gearbox was going to have gone, it would have gone a long time ago. Also updating, Brian Herta had contact with Eddie Cheever, damaged suspension right front. He had an onboard camera carrying for us today. He's now out of the race.
Michael Andretti is running laps, the last one at 101 miles an hour. That's consistent with most of the race, but Rahal's still closing in. He can still run at speed. But let's take a look at Rahal here. What Rahal has is the ability to get in and off of some of the corners a little better. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, Bobby Rahal's doing a great job. Robbie Gordon, the same cannot be said. He's lost on the course. He's pulled off, and Derek Walker and the team don't know what happened to the car because his radio is out.
Well, there's the view back from the car. He's off on one of the access roads. Apparently okay, with a lot of spectators looking over the fence to check him out.
As we stay here with Bobby Rahal looking forward to Michael Andretti, watch some of the blocking if Bobby gets up close. He just did a little while ago. And Michael just started running all over the track to keep Bobby from passing. And if he gets close, it's going to happen again.
Michael Andretti is driving one of the great races of his life, I think. He won here last year, of course, with a great race. And he's again driving a great race in a crippled car.
Just hanging onto this car is remarkable. His last lap, he picked the speed up at 101.2. Paul Tracy still 3.5 seconds ahead.
He's getting through the turns fairly well. It's just that he isn't getting off the turns fast. He doesn't have the punch off the turns. That's how Tracy was able to pass him, and it's how Rahal presumably will try to set him up.
61 laps, the scheduled distance. 65 laps the scheduled distance. We just turned 65.
Rahal has been Michael's nemesis, basically, throughout racing. Every time that Michael has finished second in a championship, Bobby Rahal has beaten him. So Rahal has been his nemesis. He is again right now, as you see him start down that straight.
Rahal trying to make the move on Michael Andretti. Let me clarify this. 62 laps complete. 65 laps the scheduled distance. Rahal still in pursuit of Michael.
Now watch when we come out of the 90-degree corners. The chicane's not quite as bad because Michael can keep up a little momentum right here. But here we're going to come into some 90-degree corners right after this now. This is where Rahal should be able to pull out and jerk Michael right off the turns and pass him.
That's Scott Pruitt in 4th place. He just comes around the corner there. Same kind of performance as he turned in at Miami. Very consistent. Mauricio Gugelmin is 5th.
Right here's our first 90 right there. Rahal gets close, can't get by.
This is where Tracy, however, was able to set up Michael.
And Tracy continues to pull away. He's now 4 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti. The look back for Michael's car. Boy, that gearbox is noisy.
But it's hanging in there.
Michael Andretti is still running a pace consistent with the leaders at over 101 miles an hour with the leader, Paul Tracy.
Without doubt, he has the best handling car here. Not so good without a transmission working.
Last lap, Paul Tracy was at 101.5 miles an hour, according to the EDS system. And Michael Andretti, 101.2. Paul Tracy down the pit straight one more time. Across the start-finish line with 2 laps to go now.
We have seen Paul Tracy win races. Of course, he's won 8 races, but often he just leads them, tears away from the start. It's unusual for him to produce a winning drive from a 9th place starting position. Today, he has shown the maturity that all of his fans have wondered if he had in him, and I think the obvious evidence as of today is yes. He can do it all.
Oh, this is a superlative run for Paul Tracy, no question about that. A year ago, as we watched this battle between Rahal and Andretti, the battle for second, Michael Andretti was my seatmate on Qantas coming across the Pacific. This year, when we were ready to leave Los Angeles, Paul Tracy dropped into the seat next to me and said, Michael says you're good luck. He rode with you last year, so I'm going to ride with you this year.
If we believe that, Paul.
Boy.
Hey, all I can do is point to the screen. That's all I can say.
I've ridden everywhere with you, Paul. Why aren't things...
Bobby Rahal is trying everything he's ever learned in all of his years of motor racing, trying to overcome the lack of grip, trying to get a jump on Michael. He knows Michael's got problems, but he just can't seem to get a jump on him.
Well, you really have to appreciate the job that Michael is doing here. Paul Tracy now 4.5 seconds ahead of Michael.
Michael Andretti is turning in one of those gritty performances that great racing drivers are defined by. It's a beautiful thing to see. And it takes no credit away from Rahal either, who's doing everything right too, but just as you say, Bobby, just doesn't have the grip.
Paul Tracy flashes across the start-finish line with the white flag being displayed. Newman Haas cars running 1st and 2nd. Lola's out in front here. Remember how hard they struggled last year.
Remember that Newman Haas with 2 cars last year, including defending IndyCar champion Nigel Mansell, were unable to win a single race. And today, they run 1-2.
You know, the problem Ray Hall is going to have when they have the meetings after the race, if he doesn't get by Michael, is to say, we're really behind. He out-handled us by so much. We couldn't even get by with Michael having less than 2 gears of what we have.
The two third places, the first 2 races, put Bobby Rahal on course for the kind of season that wins him a championship, Bobby, you know? He's always so consistent.
So Bobby Rahal, his last chances now if he's going to move into second place. For Paul Tracy, it's all but wrapped up. He's a full 5 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti as they came across the line last time. But Carl Haas has to be more than satisfied with what he has seen with his cars running first and second as Michael pitches at everybody's hand. And it looks like he brushed the wall. He did. He catches the wall on the other side. Rahal goes into second place. Michael Andretti just nips the wall coming through the chicane. Rahal now into second place.
He come out and hit that wall pretty hard. He just got it loose. He knew he had to keep his momentum up the corner. He tried, Paul, but he failed.
Oh, what a frustrating situation for Michael Andretti after a brilliant run with a disabled car to hold into second place. But you can't take anything away from this man. Paul Tracy scores the victory. His first for Newman Haas. Bobby Rahal will finish in second place. The accident on the last lap will give Scott Pruitt a third, Mauricio Gugelmin a fourth, and Danny Sullivan, Gugelmin's teammate, a fifth. So Pac West is going to look very strong here. And Paul Tracy has taken the day here in Surfers Paradise, Australia, while Michael Andretti ends his day disgustingly against the wall. Poor Michael.
You can't knock him for trying as hard as he did. He had a choice, but by golly, he went down in style on that one. It's really sad.
Here
Look
it is.
at this, how hard he's trying. Look at this. He's just shaking that car so hard. The front end got to bounce, and he came out. The front end hit the wall first, obviously. Look at there. Then he comes across the track, and boom, he just finishes it off there.
Boy, it was so close, too. I think that first hit was only a matter of inches. Yep, he just barely caught it with the right rear, but enough impact to rip it off and to send him into the barrier. So the race is now complete in Surfers Paradise, and Paul Tracy has the win, followed by Bobby Rahal and Scott Pruitt. At the end of the run at Surfers was Paul Tracy. Here's Jack Arute.
Well, getting the congratulations of his car owner, Carl Haas. What a great comeback after such trouble in Miami. Paul, victory lane for Newman Haas. The first one since 1993 for these guys.
Well, it's a great victory. I got to thank Kmart, Budweiser, and, Carl and Paul for believing in me after Miami, after all the trouble I gave them there. But, we had a good Saturday practice session, and then we missed it in qualifying, and once I drove the car this morning to warm up, I knew we had a good package, so I got out early and just saved the equipment was the key to the race.
So congratulations to Newman Haas Racing, Paul Tracy, and their Ford-powered Lola. After a dry spell of a year, coming up with the victory here in Surfers Paradise, followed by Bobby Rahal, then Scott Pruitt, Mauricio Gugelmin, and Danny Sullivan, the Pac West teammates, finishing at the bottom of the top 5. Al Unser Jr. gets some points, finishing in 6th place. Then Eddie Cheever, Raul Boesel, Michael Andretti scored with a 9th place, and 10th, Eliseo Salazar. Now let's go to Gary Gerould.
So, Bobby Rahal, you get a great bonus on that last lap. You were trying to pressure him, I know, into a mistake, and suddenly there was the opportunity. What was that feeling?
Well, Michael was using the curves more and more the last few laps, and he was really trying hard, and I think he just hit it wrong and just lost it, and just in front of me to the S's in the back, he'd been coming close, and boom, and, we couldn't really run with him down the straight, so I had to try to have him, make something like that, and so I like to say hi to everybody at Saturdays in Powell, Ohio, all the Miller crowds watching right now. We're coming home.
Bobby Rahal comes home in 2nd place. His mom's here to watch this one and enjoy the moment in victory lane as well.
Here are the PPG points. Bobby Rahal currently leads, followed by Gugelmin and Pruitt. Gary Gerould?
Harder to get second. What happened on that last lap, Michael?
I had no more rear brakes, and I just got into the chicane too hard. I started hitting the curves, and I got out of sequence, and I lost it.
As defending champion, as a man who's had such great success here, I'm sure this one hurts an awful lot.
It really does. We lost second gear way early, and I just was hanging on. I mean, if we wouldn't have lost the gear, it would have been an easy win.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks.
Too bad for Michael. One of the best drives of his life. Carl Haas and Paul Tracy celebrate on the podium. We've had a great time here in Surfers Paradise. See you in 2 weeks at Phoenix.
ABC Sports coverage of the Australian Grand Prix has been brought to you by Firestone.